So there has been a ton of recent potential leaks and all sorts of information and certain people coming out when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and what is happening here. There was a giga leak or massive leak apparently with someone who's actually got the unit. So what we're going to do is that we're going to break down exactly what was said, what's possible, what's not, in addition to some other updates that I found very interesting when it comes to some of the accessories or how the system will look. So I think we're getting pretty close here, guys. There's enough smoke with various different leaks and things and different stuff coming out, accessory manufacturers, dimensions of certain things, that there's definitely going to be announcements soon. This is not my first rodeo when it comes to covering Nintendo system launches in the modern era, so I'm definitely seeing a lot of similarities to past things. But before we get into all that, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my vids first. And let's go ahead and jump right into this because this was a huge thread that was being shared around everywhere on social media, and I wanted to jump into some of the things that I feel is very likely, some of the things that I saw people saying, oh my gosh, no, that's not going to happen, and just give a little bit of my perspective as someone who's covered multiple Nintendo launches. This will be my third Nintendo new system launch when it comes to main home consoles. You can count the 3DS in there. I guess that would be 4. So yeah, I've covered a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Once again, this was a Reddit thread where apparently the person next handheld or next Nintendo handheld or whatever his name is, I'll have it up for you guys, he was able to verify the information with a Reddit mod. So they don't allow certain things if it's just like hearsay or whatever the case is. And essentially, he was able to anonymously give them information or enough information for them to leave the thread up and say, hey, you know what? This guy is legit, or at least some of the information that he has is legit. Now, let's start off here, guys. So they talk about a range of different information, and I'm going to go through a bullet point style. Shout outs to GoNintendo for the beat on this one. And they said the previous leaks / 3D renderings of the console have been basically accurate. It's actually going to be called Nintendo Switch 2, and the logo is the original Switch logo with a 2 next to it. Now, I definitely want to talk about that more in depth at the end when we get through all of that, because that's very interesting in my opinion. Next up, they say that they were told of a mid-March release date as well as a January reveal, but that info doesn't come from a first-party source. There will be multiple colors of units, with gray coming first. White units may also be at launch or coming later. There will be a special edition of the console themed around a specific game that is yet to be named, although Next Handheld, that's the person there, says that the number 9 is in the title, most likely indicating Mario Kart 9. Whether or not this game / edition will be there at launch is unknown. So that's also another thing that I want to discuss fully when it comes to an update on Mario Kart 9 or what they're going to do with the next Mario Kart game, because I've seen a lot of different opinions and I wanted to kind of dispel maybe some things based off of previous Mario Kart games, then also go into depth in terms of what Nintendo could be doing because of the importance of Mario Kart. Next up, there's some kind of new technology in the new Joy-Cons that no one has mentioned yet, which could create new experiences. Specifically, it sounds like this feature is in the top side of the Joy-Con when detached. When asked for more specific info, Next Handheld replied, think lasers. I have absolutely no idea what that could mean at all, but we'll have to wait and see, right? Nintendo always has really weird or different type of ideas that they bring to the table, so I'm sure there'll be something here with that. The Joy-Con magnets themselves can be used as buttons. Joy-Cons, buttons, and the sticks are just slightly larger than the Switches. The Joy-Cons will use the Hall effect sticks, which is absolutely a very good thing to see that. And that seems likely just because Nintendo also did a patent for their own Hall effect as well. Original Joy-Cons should work with the new console, but won't be charged while attached to it, which makes sense if they're going to use some type of different mechanism and all that. There is an audible clicking sound, non-digital, when attaching the Joy-Cons to the system. The dock is similar to the original Switch dock, but with rounded edges and wider. The dock doesn't cover the entire screen, and some of it sticks out the top. It's about the same weight as the original Switch and equally as thin. Switch 2 cartridges look similar to Switch cartridges, and the cartridge port is the same size. So another thing that I want to state on that real quick is that that's very much like the Nintendo DS to Nintendo 3DS. they're pretty much the same exact cartridges. The only difference is that there's a little lever when it comes to Nintendo 3DS to tell the difference when you put it into the cartridge slot. So Nintendo is no stranger to making multi-different type of cartridges and having cartridge slots in terms of a single cartridge slot take different types of cartridges. I know with the Nintendo DS, it was very different at first when they had the GBA, because the GBA cartridges are so like fat, and kind of so different compared to what the Nintendo DS cartridges are. So they were separate. There was the bottom loading GBA, top loading on the Nintendo DS, but they were able to circumvent that, obviously, with the Nintendo DS to 3DS, when you have pretty much the same cartridge slots, pretty much the same size of carts and everything. So I fully expect Nintendo Switch 2 cartridges to be exactly pretty much the same size, but carry a lot more. I'm pretty sure Nintendo's somewhat streamlined or somewhat been able to reduce the cost of the memory, so you can have regular 32 gigabyte type of cartridges that don't cost an arm and a leg. And I'm pretty sure they'd have to get 64 gigabyte cartridges ready as well, considering the type of games that are going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 and the size of those games. So I'm expecting that to be significantly larger on average for many different games as well. Now let's get into the first major topic that I wanted to discuss from this information here. And this is all, once again, rumor, and I'm speaking hypothetically. If it's true, not that it is, take it with a grain of salt, or you don't have to believe it, or whatever the case is. I'm simply talking about it in terms of some of the stuff that's been out there, which, once again, this information isn't all 100% brand new. Some of it lines up with patents and other things that we've seen, and some of it just seems practical or common sense. So just remember to take it that way. All right, now let's jump into it here. So the Nintendo Switch 2, the name, that seems to be the most likely scenario. This is not the first time that we've heard that Nintendo is calling this Nintendo Switch 2. This is something that we've heard before. There was a rumor about that, and I think that that would probably be the safe bet. Now, Nintendo could still go with something else. One of the popular names that I hear people talking about all the time is they should call it Nintendo Switch Super, or Super Nintendo Switch, or something like that, which they could. I thought that maybe they'd call it Nintendo Switch Super, so not Super Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo Switch Super. But the more that I think about that, and the more that I've heard other people talk about certain names, the more that I think that Nintendo probably is going to want to move away from that, just because if you look at the Nintendo Switch, they've already had a couple of revisions with names afterwards. Nintendo Switch Lite, Nintendo Switch OLED. Do they want to do something else like Nintendo Switch Super and potentially confuse people with the naming scheme, which people are going to immediately say that's confusing when you do, because people always say everything's confusing when you do. So I don't think it would be if Nintendo was able to market the system right, but you never know, and you want to make sure that you're doing the exact thing that needs to be done. You don't have any other system that's going to come in and save you, or a separate type of device. So I think it makes sense. If they're going to call it Nintendo Switch 2, I think it makes complete sense to just call it Nintendo Switch 2, because you know exactly what it is. Hey, you have the Nintendo Switch, right? Okay, well, this is the second one. Hey, you have the Nintendo Switch OLED, right? Okay, well, this is the second one. Hey, you have the Nintendo Switch Lite, right? Okay, well, this is the second one. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's a side type of thing. Oh, it's another type of thing. Oh, is it just an upgrade to this? It's the second version. It's the new model. It is the next thing. So it makes complete sense to simply just call it Nintendo Switch 2. Now, some people might say that's kind of boring, or that it's not like Nintendo, or whatever the case is, and I completely get that. But I think at sometimes you got to just say, hey, look, we'd rather not take that chance than take the chance for some type of name that's going to confuse people. And at the end of the day, the name matters, don't get me wrong, but the marketing in conjunction with the name matters most. So if you have Nintendo Switch 2, and then you can tie that into how you're going to make things so much better in some way, like those creative people that get paid a lot of money do that, then yeah, I think that it's going to ultimately end up being a good idea and work out well for them, especially if they have the games to really drive home why you need the Nintendo Switch 2. Now let's jump into the other major thing that I wanted to discuss here, and that is the Mario Kart 9 potential bundle or game being released somewhat early, maybe at launch or a little bit later. And this to me is a no-brainer. And let me give you guys a number of reasons why. If you look at the history of Nintendo, Nintendo's always tried to get Mario Kart out early. And Mario Kart is usually an early type of game. They really don't want to go more than 2 years after a system launch with the Mario Kart, and that's even stretching it. You look at Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, that was early. Look at Mario Kart on the N64, that was more of an early game as well. You look at Mario Kart on the GameCube, that one took a little bit longer. Double Dash, that was about 2 years after release in 2003 from the 2001 launch, but I do think that it was delayed a bit. But overall, that was pretty much the outlier. If you look at the DS, you look at the 3DS in particular, that was the same calendar year. The Nintendo 3DS launched in early 2011. You had Mario Kart in that holiday of that year. You look at Mario Kart 8, even for the Wii U, the system launched in 2012, late 2012, and you got Mario Kart 8, you got that early first half 2014. So you're looking at about a year and some odd months. It was less than a year and a half overall if you line up everything. So they're trying to get those games out as soon as possible when it comes to Mario Kart. And if you just look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, obviously it's a port, but they got that one out a month after the Nintendo Switch launch. So yeah, they absolutely want to have Mario Kart out early. And it's been so long since the last Mario Kart. It's been 10 plus years. By the time that we get to 2025, it'll be 11 years from when Mario Kart 8 originally launched, and even a large amount of time since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe launched. They've been working on the new Mario Kart, and they've been working on it for quite some time. And I don't think it's going to be some type of small little upgrade and, oh, wow, we have anti-gravity, but a few more racers. Oh, we have some different people coming from different Nintendo franchises. There's definitely going to be something innovative, something different, and I think that you have to pack this one full of content. Now, I am going to have a video with one of the good friends of the channel, Party Man. He's going to come talk about Mario Kart with me, so we are going to have a separate dedicated video on everything that Mario Kart could be doing or what we would love to see. But I definitely feel that Mario Kart needs to kind of show out big here. We need to see some awesome single player modes, local modes, single player campaign, great online multiplayer, obviously a lot of tracks, improved online play, better lobbies, all sorts of stuff. Tournaments need to be back and better than ever. This is not a time to really say, oh, well, we'll update it over some time, or, oh, well, let's just launch, kind of just get the game out there. They've had plenty of time, unlike what we've seen when it comes to previous Mario Kart games. So now that they've had so much time, it's time to really reinvent things. It's time to really bring the hammer overall. So I expect Mario Kart 9 or this next big Mario Kart to be a big revolution for the franchise and also be packed full of stuff that fans of Mario Kart want. And yes, I think it's very likely that they have some type of bundle. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle was a massive hit, and it was responsible for so many of the console sales. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling Nintendo Switch game by a country mile. One of the best-selling games of all time. So yeah, you absolutely want to have a Mario Kart bundle to entice the families that purchased the original Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle, to get the casual gamers on, and even to get the core gamers who love Mario Kart, because everybody kind of gets this game and plays it. Good with family, good by single player, good by online with your friends, whatever the case is. So I absolutely expect to see Mario Kart 9 bundle, Mario Kart 9 early in the lifespan of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a launch title. I do still think that they could do a big 3D Mario game as the launch title, and then have Mario Kart 9 as a later type of game, very similar to how they had Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as a launch title for the Nintendo Switch, and Super Mario 3D World as a game later in the year, which was a great, one punch at the beginning, huge punch, and then a massive swing at the end of the year as well, to really cap off an incredible launch year for the Nintendo Switch. So I could see them doing that strategy with 3D Mario, and of course Mario Kart 9, and maybe even other games as well, because that first year was stacked for the Switch and they were very successful. I'm pretty sure Nintendo wants to emulate that, and I think the only way to get that done is to make sure that you have those big games in that first year. Whenever you decide to launch, you got to have multiple big first-party games, and the third-party titles will follow. But now it's a little bit different because the third-party developers actually believe in the Nintendo Switch. At least the Japanese third-party developers are on board, from what I've been hearing, from what's kind of out there. they're on board with this system. So you're going to get that third-party support that maybe was lacking a little bit with the Nintendo Switch first 9 months or so. But what do you guys think overall when it comes to everything that we talked about here with the Nintendo Switch 2 and what's happening? I mean, there's so much stuff going on here. There are all sorts of new renders that are going up. Accessory manufacturers are talking about the dimensions and different things. So it's been kind of crazy. So once again, a lot of smoke, but I'm pretty sure there's a fire that's about to be put out and actually exposed when it comes to Nintendo revealing finally what this system is and the price and the launch and more of the games and all that. So very excited to see more. But what do you guys think overall? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.